So to cover your square cake, you first of all stack them. Now the first on the line is vanilla cake, followed by the strawberry cake. Now it does not necessarily mean that you must follow it this way before you cover your square cake. Take note, these are the cakes that are handy, the ones I just finished teaching you. That's why I'm doing this. If you look at it very well, you notice that those cakes are quite soft. If I must cover them fondant, I will just add extra 50 grams of flour so that the cakes will be stable, okay, in their recipes. Take note, ordinarily I wouldn't cover these cakes that are very soft like this with fondant. It's either I'm working with my buttercream or I'm working with my whipping cream. But because I had to show you how to make sharp edge, and these are the cakes that are handy right now, I have to manage them. But as a beginner, if you try using this cake, it will trouble you. So try using stabilized cake, guys, cakes that are very stable, like your vanilla cake, whenever you are making your fondant, okay? But if your hand becomes strong, you can then manage the way I'm doing it now. So now, like I said, vanilla cake entered first, followed by strawberry, and after strawberry we added our banana, and after banana cake we now added the avocado cake, one of the colors. Then after the avocado, another one that should be coming in now is our banana cake. So finally, you add your vanilla cake. And then after that, we start trimming. Hold it firm and just go straight with your knife. The same thing you are going to do all around. Then after that, you start checking the sizes. That is the sides, to make sure that all parts are equal. Any side you notice that is not equal, you use your knife and trim off a little from that side until you get an equal square. After trimming, clean up the board and your work surface to avoid crumbs attacking your cake when you start covering it. Now apply your buttercream all around, but this time you have to be careful. Remember, you have created a sharp edge as you are trimming your square cake. Okay, so when you start applying this butter, you have to be mindful of those edges so that nothing will fall out of it, because they are very fragile. Apply the buttercream all around the cake. Remember not to overheat your butter on the body of the cake. You can see the way I'm applying it, I don't have much butter at a time. That's why when you see me rubbing it, it will not go around. I'll take another butter, because at any point in time, I'm being mindful of the amount of butter I'm applying on the cake, because I don't want the whole cake to be filled with buttercream. The main aim, don't forget, is just to hold your fondant. So that is it. After applying the buttercream, you now put your dowel rod. Then cut off the excess of the dowel rod, making sure that you pull it up a little and cut, so that everything will have to go on the inside. Now roll out and cover the top part of the cake first. Now you must make sure that what you're rolling out is not too thin, so that the up part of the cake will not be rough by the time you are through with covering. Except where you want to cover the cake twice, then you can first of all cover with a thin layer and then cover again with another thicker one. But I am covering direct. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm using my long scraper to remove the size that I don't need. And that long scraper is helping me a lot in order to get a straight line. But you can use your pizza cutter and ruler to achieve this also. If you know you cannot handle pizza cutter and get a straight line, just use your ruler and do it. So what I'm doing is just to cut out the amount that will cover the top part of the cake. Remember, this is 8 inches square cake. I just placed it on top. Okay, and I was able to cut out about 10 inches. That's why you saw 10 by 10 inches. That's why you saw the surplus. If you don't want the surplus, that is the ones shooting out from the cake, to be too much, you can make yours to be 9 by 9 inches. So now apply some icing sugar on top. Don't forget, I use icing sugar, I don't use corn flour. The reason is your steamer will not be able to slip the corn flour. It can only work well with icing sugar. Okay, now flip over. Then remove the board and apply your buttercream under it. Then after that, begin to roll out your fondant to cover the sides. Now I am not mindful of the size of the fondant. The only thing I know here now is that my cake is 8 by 8 inches. Under normal circumstances, if I want the joints to be shown, I will just cut out front and back will be 8 inches and a quarter inch, while the other two sides will be 8 inches on the dot. That is to enable the one front and back to lap on the sides of the side by side. But here now, I just went ahead to cut because my aim is to seal all parts of the square cake. So I'm reducing the fondant. You can see what I just did because it's too much. That's why I said you can make yours 9 by 9 or even 8.5 by 8.5. So I just measured it. Whatever measurement that gave me is what I am supposed to get on my fondant. But I have to add at least half inch apart. That is half inch outside the real measurement. So this measurement is about 10 inches. So for these 10 inches, I decided to add 10.5. That is to get 10.5. That's what I mean by 10 inches, is that it's 8 inches by 10 inches high. So what I'm doing now, I am cutting out the measurements I want and then setting them aside to firm up. Now there's something I did behind camera. Your fondant, after mixing it for this type of paneling, you can decide to add a little CMC. Don't over add so that it will not worry you when you want to roll. Now this is to help it firm up. As I have just rolled out one, measured it, place it on a board, set it aside to be firming up. Now I join the parts, the side, and I find out that the ones that are by the other two sides are obstructing it. So I had to remove it and then trim down the first two sides have placed already so that the other one will be able to enter. And what do? You can see me supporting the fondant with my smoother before cutting it off. The same thing I'm going to do that side. Place your smoother at the back of the fondant and then go ahead and cut. What I'm cutting is actually the excess, okay? It has nothing to do with the cake. So you can look at it very well, how I did it. Now, if you look at it very well, you notice that this cake is quite soft. This is not the type of cake I normally use for fondant, like I said earlier on. Okay, this cake, the combination of it is quite very soft. If I am using it for my fondant, I would have added extra flour to make it stable, that is to make it stronger. But if I must work on my fondant, I normally use my vanilla cake. And any other cake that goes into my vanilla cake must be as strong and as stable as my vanilla cake. So now you continue placing it. Now trim to make both the body and the bottom equal part. Remember that the bottom is going to be the up, because we are still going to flip over again to return it to the normal position. Don't forget. So I am only trimming out all the excess now. Remember, I have not started working on the sharp edges. That is, I have not started working on it. They are still joined together and the joints are still showing very much. So after trimming off all this excess, now the work will start. Now the work has started. Don't forget, if you are making a circle sharp edge, definitely you have to bring down. You have to join the up and the under to give you, that is to make it lighter, and that will create the sharp edge. The same thing is what I am doing now. I have to do it and then use the straight part of my smoother and cut off the edge in order to give me a sharp edge. You are going to see me do it again, but first let me remove the excess. So now I'm still removing the excess. After removing the excess, I will start working on the edges. Now apply some icing sugar on the down part of the cake. This is to help the smoother so that it won't stick to the cake as you're trying to bring down to create the sharp edge. Now continue, pressing down, not too hard. Play around with it, bringing it down until there is no space under the cake. Just like you are working with your circle cake, that is the round cake. It's the same thing. The only difference is the edges of the square. So after bringing them down, you must have been seeing some excess that your work created. Just use your small knife as usual and remove all the excess. When you go it didn't come out well, go again until that part is very clean and very smooth. I don't mind doing it and doing it again until I'm able to get exactly what I am looking for. Just keep applying your icing sugar as you go ahead to create your sharp edge. Now this is what you're going to do for all the 4 corners. Now remember I placed the button on separately, the sides separately. What I am doing now is going to merge the two, that you will not be able to know the difference anymore. So now watch. I'm going to use the straight part of the smoother now to work on the edges. By pressing it together, that is bringing it together, at the end of the day when I notice that I have joined it very well, I will just use that sharp part of the smoother and cut it off. Are you seeing what I'm doing? My left hand is at the other left side and my right hand is at the right side. And I'm doing this, I am adding my icing sugar because I do not want the smoother to gum to the paste, else it will not be smooth. Even if you do it and you're still seeing rough edge, continue until you get it very sharp. I've done it twice now, or 3 times now. This is the 4th one. For one side though, just watch. If you're able to do it and get it once, you stop. I think this is the final one now. And you can see the edge is very sharp now. Now, as I'm doing this, the thing changed shape downstairs, down part of it. Okay, so all you need to do is to use your scraper and then keep straight and just cut it off. The same thing I'm going to be doing to the next edge. The same I will repeat for all the 4 edges. until all the sides are very sharp. You can see I'm taking my time. I'm just pressing it gradually. When I bring together, I go back again. I take a little from the back. I press together until I get a surplus that I'm able to cut out from there. And on the process of cutting it out, the edge will join. That's how you get your side, the sharp edge on the side of your square cake. I'll repeat the same thing I did there. Anyone I cut, I will repeat. So this is exactly how I got all the four corners very sharp and very neat. So now I'll flip over for you to see the finishing work. Now remove the board, and then that's your sharp edge. You see how neat it is? It is not something you do in a hurry. You are just watching a video, please. This thing take me a little time. Don't say you just watched it. I only edited this video to remove some parts that will just be delaying us and maybe be eating our data. It is not something you work in a hurry. You must take your time to get your sharp edge, because sometimes when you hurry it, you find out that you make mistake creating a lot of dents. So you have to take your time. Okay, don't say because you saw me doing it sharp and everything is ready. No, I took my time to get all the four corners ready like this. Okay, so now I have been able to place my ribbon on the board, and I am trimming off the excess now. I've already showed you how to put that in the circle one. I did not cut any joint. I just rolled that another kind of belt and just go around it. I made the belt to be a bit wider so that it will be able to cover even those sharp corners. So after this, the next thing we're going to do now is to start designing our cake. So next, I have already showed you how to make your marble effect. It's just the design I am repeating again, but there's a reason why I'm repeating it. To show you how to create those scallops at the mouth of the marble. I've already showed you this before. All you need to do, bring the colors together after getting the ropes, and then twist. Hold them together, twist, okay? Compress, roll again, twist, compress, just like that. For this particular one, I continue doing it so many times because I wanted the red to come out more than the white. So this is the first compress. I'm rolling again, and after rolling I will twist, and after twisting I will compress again. I am supposed to use it this way, but because I wanted the red to come out more, I continued. This is the second compress. I'm going to roll again. Now you can see I'm twisting, and after twisting I'll compress again. I think I did it up to 4 or 5 times before it gave me what I want. Sorry, what you are seeing is sun ray through the window blind, but I believe you are seeing what I'm doing very well. So now I've compressed it again, but I think this should be the last one. So now I roll. After rolling, the design is yours to make. Like I have always said, you are always in control of what you want to do on your cake. You can look at people's pictures and repeat the same thing they have done, but try as much as possible to put something, a little thing different from what they have done. That will be your own signature, at least something that you will use to differentiate your cake from others. So now I am making a cut here. Like I said, whatever I do here doesn't really matter. You can change your design. You see now I divided it. You can decide to take a whole lot of it. Just carve out a circle at the middle and place it at the middle of your square. And still repeat the scallop design. They are all designs. They will all be beautiful. At this point now, I do not know what I want to use what I'm making now to do. Everything I did was just trial and error. If you notice when I was placing it, you see that there's even one I placed, I had to open up and begin to open the other and start replacing it again. Now apply your shortening. Remember, I've told you that whenever you are working with a darker color on a cake, try as much as possible to use your shortening. Red, blue, they can mess up your work when you're using water. Now press so that it will lap very well on the body of the cake. Now this particular one did not go round, and I still have another one lying on the work table there. I had to figure out what am I going to do with it, how am I going to place it so that at least it will be a little bit beautiful. These are things I'm thinking as I'm working on this one. Now I'm applying my shortening in order for it to lap very well. Any side you notice that opens up, just apply your shortening. Now shortening has a way of making your work look very neat. But remember, you don't use it to roll out your fondant. It will destroy your paste. So now see what I'm doing. I use my 2 fingers and press down. Now in between the two fingers, I put my dowel rod and bring it out. Okay, in between as you place it with your two finger, in between your two fingers, your dowel rod goes to bring it out. That's how I created my scallop. So that is it. That's actually the reason why I had to repeat the marble design today. Now that remaining one, I'm figuring out what I am going to be doing with it. So, see what I'm doing? Trying to see what will I do. I decided to open the other one so that will be able to pass through the inside of that one. So I had to cut that one because I know it will not also go around. So I now shifted it. That's to tell you that I'm only figuring out what I should do with it now. I didn't have any planned decor before I started this. So you see, I try to, when I get to the back, I try to curve it in so that the other one will come through it and they will not see the end of the one I just added now. And everything I'm working, I'm using my shortening here. So I'm still going to repeat the same scallop method on the last one I added now. Anyone that didn't gum well, I apply my shortening and stick it well. So this is what I've got. You can decide to make it one, that is one long one on the body of the cake. The choice is yours. So after that, I now started adding the rest of the design. So I use a very tiny leaf cutter to cut out some leaf shape from the remaining marble effect, and then I placed on the cake the way I want it. So now I added my cake topper. Then I got some balls and started adding again. The wire is quite long, so the thing came out from the other side. That's why I'm changing that one. That is, I just changed the positioning. Anyhow you decide to place it, it's okay. Then next you steam to remove all the dust on your cake. And then if you have some artificial flowers, you can insert. If you have sugar flowers, you can insert. And the cake is ready. So the next thing I did was to show you how you can actually sprinkle some gold color on the body of the cake, and also paint the scallops of your cake with gold highlight. Now as I'm placing that flower, you see me changing the method until I'm able to get what I want. Then I will leave it. So there is no special way of putting flower there. So after arranging the flower, the next thing I did was to highlight the mouth of the scallops to give it another unique design. I did both the up and the down layer. Now after painting, I dip my brush inside the gold highlight and fling on the cake to create most of those strokes you see with gold on a cake. This how to do it. Just use a brush that has a pointed mouth, not the one with a square like mouth, and it will give you what you're seeing here. So that's the finished work. Bye for now. See you in next class.